We have a massive Lakers trade update to go over today as a brand new report has dropped revealing some big information as it pertains to one center that has revealed that the Lakers are all in. We're going to break down that report as well as discuss some other interesting things on this episode, folks. Before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. Thank you guys for your continued support over here. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to go over today. Now, obviously, the Lakers are heavily involved in a lot of trade rumors, a lot of trade talks surrounding centers. That is their number one priority, to pair Luka Doncic with a center. But some new reports dropped today revealing some very critical information surrounding Rob Pelinka's trade plans that has not only fans fired up, but really shed some interesting light into what Rob Pelinka is looking at going forward. And we think back to the trade deadline, they were involved in a lot of centers, the Mark Williams trade, and now it's finally time for them to augment this lineup that they have here and make some big moves. And a ton of things to dive into today, but let's start with this here. This report dropped a couple hours ago. The Lakers have been linked to Nic Claxton by HP Basketball. And of course, we've known that the Lakers have been involved in Nic Claxton for a while, but the report that dropped today shed some very interesting light into the situation. Multiple Lakers outlets have reported on the theoretical trades involving Nic Claxton, and that's not a coincidence. Claxton provides an athletic veteran forerunner who can switch to put up next to Luka. The Nets and Lakers have done deals before multiple times, and Claxton is likely ready to be on a contending team. We have another report to go over in a minute here, but I want to start with this. Now, there's a million centers. There's a million reports going around surrounding centers the Lakers are linked to. I mean, we think Steven Adams, all these different guys, Walker Kessler. But when it comes to Nic Claxton, this is the most popular name, and it is for a reason. And obviously, the Nets are looking to trade, Nic Claxton. They're also looking to get some prospects back and things like that. But the Lakers are a perfect fit. And if you're Nic Claxton, there wouldn't be a better team to join than Luka Doncic and LeBron James and the Lakers. But if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you can get some good assets from a lot of teams, but the Lakers have assets that would be pretty pertinent and potent to the actual Nets team in particular. But also, just as a fit perspective, this makes all the sense in the world. And for this report to come out now and link once again the Lakers to Nic Claxton, revealing the Lakers are pretty all in here on Nic Claxton, it is a very important, piece of information. And things have really started to pick up over the past couple days. And we've seen across the NBA, rumors and reports are starting to pick up. Tom Thibodeau just got fired minutes ago as of the time of recording. The Raptors are linked to a bunch of players, including Giannis Antetokounmpo. Kevin Durant came out today that he's going to be on the move at a discounted price. There's a lot of reports coming out. And for this to drop in the midst of all that about Nic Claxton and the Los Angeles Lakers, it really goes to show that not only is the interest serious, and I think it is mutual between the Lakers and the Nets, just given the independent kind of scenarios that they are in at this juncture. It is very, very intriguing. Now, there's been a lot of reports about other players to dive into as well in this video, but I want to go into this trade that dropped. Los Angeles was picked apart by the Minnesota Timberwolves, we know, back in the playoffs, especially in the paint. We know their number one priority, because of how badly they were abused, is a center. And this trade has Nic Claxton, Keon Johnson, and 2 seconds going to the Lakers in exchange for Dalton, Knecht, Maxi Kleber, Gabe Vincent, just salary, and a 2031 top 5 protected first round pick. Now, this is essentially the Mark Williams trade, but you're getting Nic Claxton, an interesting player, and Keon Johnson, and 2 second round picks back. And before we dive into this more, let me know down below which of these trades would you have preferred. This package for Nic Claxton, or the package that they gave up at the deadline for Mark Williams? Because obviously the Mark Williams package was a very interesting one, but at the end of the day, they were kind of limited by time. They made the Luka Doncic trade fairly late, near the trade deadline. They didn't have a ton of time to go out and get Luka Doncic the center that he wanted. And when they did, some were arguing they overpaid a little bit. I think at this juncture, I would prefer Nic Claxton over Mark Williams. Mark Williams has a ton of injury history. He's dealing with a lot of things. He also, his work ethic, all these different things are in question, albeit we don't know enough to be able to say that for sure. I like this deal a lot if you're the Los Angeles Lakers. You're giving up essentially 2 first-round picks in Dalton, Knecht, and your 2031 first, and then salary filler, but you're getting your center of the future. You see this here at the bottom. Salaries in the Lakers draft capital make it tough for a mutually beneficial trade, but the Nets still have a chance to get back a major piece for the future in the form of Dalton Knecht. He slid down the bench as the season carried on and doesn't necessarily fit the timeline at the moment. And we've been talking about Luka Doncic giving high praise for Austin Reaves, LeBron giving high praise for Austin Reaves. No one's really spoken about lately Dalton Knecht, because a lot of fans and a lot of people just assume that he's going to be heading out of LA via trade. And he's their main piece aside from draft picks that you're going to trade in a deal for a team that wants young assets. I mean, whether it's somehow the Lakers trading for Kevin Durant, Giannis, things that won't happen. But no matter what the trade is, Dalton Knecht's going to be at least somewhat of the headliner, especially if you're getting a center. Now, for a while, There was discussion about Austin Reaves. There was discussion about whether or not the Lakers should trade Austin Reaves. I think at this point, for Nic Claxton, it makes all the sense in the world to me, especially as you start to look at how this depth chart works and looks, right? You have Luka Doncic, Austin Reaves, LeBron James. Those are the three guarantees, at least at this point. Reaves still could get traded depending on what happens with the center, and maybe they don't find the center they want, and then they move on from Austin Reaves and they flip him for, something else, get a 3-and-D wing. There's a lot of different avenues the Lakers can go here, but let's just assume, for sake of argument, you stick with Austin Reaves. Rui Hachimura, he's been involved in trade talks. Dorian Finney-Smith, same thing there. You need a center. There's a gaping hole at the center position. You're not going to have Maxi Kleber starting your center position. Maybe you re-sign Jackson Hayes, right? He's an unrestricted free agent. Maybe you re-sign Jackson Hayes. If you do, he'll be your backup center. He's not going to be your starting center. We saw that from last season against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So you're bringing Nic Claxton, who's a very, very solid center and one that would fit very well. Now, and okay, let's just say hypothetically you get him, Nic Claxton, who's averaging last season 10 points a game. Wasn't a great year for him, a bit of a down year. So you're also, buying low on the player. Only averaged 1.4 blocks. He's usually, a defensive player of the year candidate and finalist. Didn't really have that last year, albeit the Nets are a bit of a mess of a team. So it's interesting in that regard. But I think if you bring him in, he will thrive along Luka. You bring in a backup center then. It can be Jackson Hayes, but I was thinking more along the lines of even a Steven Adams type to help be a brute and go up against the bigger centers in the NBA. Then you have a very good tandem there. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of reports coming out, a lot of rumors, but things just got very real for Nic Claxton and the Lakers. And I think that at this juncture, I really like the way that things are going with this specific player. And again, he's coming off a season averaging around 10 points a game, so it's going to be interesting there. But speaking of interesting, there's some other reports coming out surrounding, and Hunter covered it a little bit yesterday, Goga Bitadze. And you can see here the Orlando Magic are looking to make some changes, and the Lakers have been in the running. There's been some rumors surrounding Goga. This could be another fit as well, even if you get in a pair alongside Nic Claxton here, because obviously he's a very sneaky, under-the-radar player, and I think if the Lakers can go out and get a guy like Goga Bitadze and pair it with Nic Claxton, that's another fit there where you have a very serviceable bench center who can actually provide some offense and provide some rebounding, paired with an elite defensive center in Nic Claxton. There are a lot of avenues that you can go here, and that's the good thing about this Lakers team. You're at a point where you have a lot of different avenues, right? You can stick with Austin Reaves, you can trade Austin Reaves, you can trade Dalton, Knecht. But it's a matter of if Rob Pelinka will hit on those. And, there's rumblings about Andrew Wiggins as well. Like, things are flying. Things are getting crazy. But at the end of the day, folks, the Lakers are interested in Nic Claxton and Goga Bitadze. An interesting pairing that maybe we could see come to fruition soon. But at the end of the day, I do ultimately believe a deal for Nic Claxton will get done, framed around Dalton, Knecht in a first, similar to the Mark Williams trade. And let me know if you would prefer, which of those two trades you would prefer, back the Mark Williams trade if you could do that again, or, of course, the Nic Claxton trade, because rumors are Mark Williams is also going to be up. So it's going to be interesting. Let us know what your thoughts are. You guys are peace. See you guys later.